Now to take a deeper dive into this case, let's bring in two guests. Lee Merritt, an attorney for the Arbery family, and also Lawrence Zimmerman, a defense attorney and president of the Georgia Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. To be clear, Lawrence is not involved in this case, but is here to offer his perspective. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Lee, let's start with you. When you see this cell phone video, what's your take on what we're seeing, on what's happening, and is there any doubt in your mind that this was murder?
Now, there's no doubt in my mind that this is murder. Unfortunately, we're only dealing with just a part of the investigation. The truth is the original investigation never took place. So right now, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation is completing a more thorough investigation so we can get all the facts surrounding the tape. The tape speaks for itself. There was an ambush waiting for Ahmaud Arbery as he ran down the street, and there's another person with a gun behind him, trapping him at all his exits. And he had no other choice but to engage the men with guns in front of him.
And Lawrence, curious to get your response. You heard Lee just there say that the video speaks for itself. You haven't spoken to any of the parties in this case, but looking at this exact same video, do you see a murder taking place?
I don't know enough about the case. I haven't investigated it. I haven't spoken to one witness, and I don't know what happened before, during, or after. There's digital evidence that could be uncovered. There may be other witnesses. There's a presumption of innocence for any person charged with any crime in the United States, and I start with that. I understand and I agree there's absolutely racial injustice and racial inequality in our criminal justice system, but everybody is presumed innocent.
But what I guess I'm just really trying to understand here is there is an exception, right? You can't use stand your ground if you initially provoke the use of force. So it seems, based on the video, based on what we've seen as so far in the evidence, that Mr. Arbery was out for a jog, right? And so he wasn't looking for a fight. He didn't bring the gun to the fight. So I'm just trying to understand if that would be a viable option.
Well, what I'm trying to understand is if he was out for a jog. I don't know if he was or wasn't. He may have been, or the defense may find he wasn't out for a jog, and the McMichaels may have proof that disproves what that there's a jogging going on. I don't know. What I'm telling you is if they had the lawful right to make a citizen's arrest, they weren't using force, and then Mr. Arbery decided that he wasn't compliant and became aggressive with them and tried to grab the gun and pointed on them, then they could claim justification self-defense.
Lee, I want to bring you in here. Do you think that stand your ground or citizen's arrest are viable options here?
No, I don't think either defense is viable, and it's important. I agree with my colleague that we can't fill in the gaps for the things that we don't know yet. Obviously, I've actually spoken to a lot more witnesses. I've read all the police reports, and so I know what's going on. But if we constrain our analysis just to what we see in that video, what we see in that video alone is a man outside of his car with a shotgun as Ahmaud approaches. And you can go ahead and zoom in on that picture. The driver's side door is already open, and the man is already outside of the car with the shotgun. And we know that Ahmaud is jogging with a steady gait toward him. Behind him is the man with the camera, but you can also hear him cock a gun in the background. So this is one of the assailants as well. So you have a man with a gun in front of him and a man with a gun behind him. He is not the aggressor. He is a pure victim. He's being led into a trap in which he's eventually killed. So no, you can't avail yourself of self-defense when, again, you create the, even if you claim to be performing a citizen's arrest, put the guns away, follow him at a safe distance, call law enforcement.
And Lee, I want to stick with you for a moment. A lot of people think that this is a hate crime without knowing any of the facts surrounding it. It's a really racially charged case. What's your response to people who are saying that this was motivated entirely by race?
So I don't know that a hate crime needs to be motivated entirely by race. These men could have believed they were protecting their community, but assumed that all black people are criminal elements, and decided to target this young man and unreasonably criminalize him because of his blackness alone. That, in my opinion, is a hate crime, and I think that under the law is a hate crime. Unfortunately, Georgia doesn't have a hate crime statute.
And Lawrence, from what we do know, do you think that prosecutors were wrong to wait so long? We're talking about more than 2 months to arrest and charge the McMichaels, especially when it seems like it happened only after this national outcry took place?
Well, certainly I understand the outcry because most people are arrested immediately, aren't given the benefit of waiting. But maybe because of the close nature and everyone knew all the players involved, they wanted to bring it potentially to a grand jury and let 23 people in the community make the decision because maybe they thought it was a close call and maybe they wanted someone else to make that hard decision for them. And I gotta say this, listen, I am not morally condoning what happened. You're asking me whether there's a legal defense, and there may be a legal defense. And we have to look at that. I'll say this: I think the fact that someone recorded it actually may help the defense, because why would they record an intentional act of murdering somebody?
Right, that is a good question, and especially it seems like potentially it was leaked to offer a defense. So I guess that was what I was wondering. When you're looking at the video, do you see how the video itself, just what you see in the video, might bolster the defense's claim?
It appears someone's videoing it, and obviously it's hard for me to tell whether someone's jogging or who is waiting for who. I've read a lot of different pieces. I haven't read what Lee's read. I mean, I could see a defense being formed, but I could also see what Lee's saying. I could see that problem also, but I can't look at it just through the lens of the video. I got to look at all pieces. I've been doing this 22 years. I've had cases look terrible, and then I dig into it, and it's not what they appear, even on video. Yeah,
Understood.
You can build a defense.
Have you heard from the family at all and their reaction to the arrests?
The family was really relieved that this arrest took place, but again, they were almost immediately turned to, well, are these men going to be immediately set free on bond, which they were denied, or are they actually going to be convicted?
Okay, gentlemen, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.